How you guys doing? This is Andrew at Florida PB. I'm recording this video at the very end, but it's going to be at the beginning of the grand scope of this. This is what I've built in my pool. This is the original design intent of it. It was a sun deck with the staircase attached to it. This isn't the final plan. The final plan doesn't open anymore because I did that in a different version of Inventor, and Inventor is horrible to deal with, so it's going to be all broken. But I'll show you what it actually sort of kind of looks like in the end when you see all the pieces cut out. I have no idea what these rings are. But yeah, I built it like a skeleton system, as every piece kind of keys into another piece, so I only had to tack weld everything together instead of trying to fully weld everything together by button everything up. But a couple mistakes that I make, the first and only time I've done this. Hayward, fucking horrible company, I will say, but they have on their online PDF manual for the jets, they have two different kinds of jets for two different kinds of applications on the same PDF because fuck me. So this is the wrong one. The one I needed was just a 3-inch hole. This had these little holes, and this was set up for a concrete pool. Didn't recognize that till after. It wasn't a big deal. Just had to drill it out for a 3-inch hole with a hole saw on all of my pieces. Obviously, one key mistake I did, or one thing I would alter, is I went through the process of doing all of these top deck plates. I put all these top decks to make everything steel, because at the time that I designed this back in April or so of 2022, I didn't think I was going to fill it with sand. In hindsight, shouldn't have done the tops at all, shouldn't have done as much of this inner bracing as I did to support the tops that I didn't need. I should have just braced the outer ring, made the outer ring nice, and then just filled it with sand and put some vermiculite concrete on the top of it and been done with it. It would have saved me a hell of a lot of time, a bunch of money, probably about $2,000, I would think, most likely in savings and steel. A bunch of time in fabrication. It would have saved me a ton of time in the plumbing. I underestimated by this point how bad the plumbing was going to be to get plumbing up to these two ports and to this port over here and the port over there, because everything you want to balance it, so everything has to go to the center and then tee off from up the middle to all these ports. I also didn't have the lights in here at all. I wasn't even thinking about that when I designed this, is putting the big light on it. But things I would change if I ever did this again. I don't need all this structure. It's tons of structure. There's tons of steel. It's very stout, the whole thing. It doesn't move at all, obviously, but didn't need it all. But this was the initial design that we came off of. I built every piece, and you can see all the individual pieces right here that were made, how they have all these little slots with corresponding slots to stick everything together. And the whole thing that's the whole pool overall shape, but the whole thing was kind of assembled as a big puzzle. I still don't know what that is. But yeah, this is just the beginning. I'm going to flash back till April when I was ripping out my staircase from my pool and going through this. I guess I will include in this, if I can find it, forgive me for typing, I'd like to include the initial response I got in April from the pool company and why I decided to go through with all this anyway. I got this line, thank you for interest. They emailed us all this shit. I told them, because I had an external staircase, it was breaking and I would rather do it internally. I was thinking a wedding cake staircase at that point in time under the liner. And they came back with it's going to be very hard to do. We got to jackhammer the collar out, which the concrete deck will need to be removed, collar jackhammered out, steps removed and replaced with steel wall, internal step put in, floor redone, liner installed, new deck at step area. You're looking at easy 20 to 25K. And that is the line that I seen that I said, nah, that's not going to work for me. So they didn't give me a quote later, because no one gave me a quote later until one company did. But that was what started me on this adventure to build this enormous thing instead of the small wedding cake stair, because if I was going to spend a bunch of money, I wanted something that was more usable, more family friendly for me, and just updated my pool more than it was, because it's a horrible Roman style pool. Screams 90s, doesn't really add any value to my house or anything like that. So hopefully you guys like it. You guys see what I've been doing all summer. It's now fall when I'm doing this. It's October. I'm just about to actually close the pool now. But yeah, this is the start of it.
So I'm in my pool. This year I took a peek under the liner, and over the winter there was no water in the low end when I looked at it. It's April right now, which is a little early, but still. So I got some quotes to do a liner, and clearly it comes with the red tape saying, oh yeah, like it's like almost $4,000, but it also depends on how the condition of the steel is, which makes sense. I have one spot there which I'm going to clean up and recold galvanize it. But then my staircase, I don't particularly like this staircase, but it has some problems itself. Like killing my light here, but I got bubbles and problems, and I asked for the price to replace that or do something internal or something like that, and like they gave me an obscene price of 20 to 25 grand, or they told me I can go with someone else that could like restore it, but that's like $2,500 in its own right, which to me was insane. So I'm gonna end up spending more money and doing stuff myself, and I'm gonna remove this staircase. Don't exactly know how to do that yet, but I'm gonna figure that out as I go. I have a piece of coping to cope this in. I can get a couple pieces of galvanized steel to put in and backfill and put some concrete back to restore the sidewalk. And that was a big red flag to me, because like the woman was stating that like we have to break out the sidewalk and put it back, and that was like a huge deal in the $25,000 number, which scared me a little bit, because I know what sidewalk costs for a union company to do it in New York City, or what New York City DOT charges homeowners to restore it based on union labor. That's like $25 a square foot. At that price, this is like $800 worth of concrete to have a full union crew do it. New York City union crew, guys that get paid $40-something an hour, plus they get $40-something an hour benefit on top of it. So that kind of was a red flag. So we're going on a little adventure here to try to fix this. I made a sheet metal setup that I'm getting laser cut to do some kind of like sun deck staircase thing in this area here, because I don't particularly love the old 90s Roman pool that this thing is. Like, I don't love this shape, so I'm making a much bigger structure, and I'll go over what I did and what's going to end up happening with it as I go. So that was horrifying. Yeah, got the steps out in pieces. They definitely bolt in to all the channels right here on the edges. That was a pain. I had to cut it in half basically, then I started cutting the steps out. It was kind of bolting in some of this concrete, which obviously you chip up when you pull that out. I gotta figure out what's feeding all this. Cut into it a little bit, but I'm gonna be reconfiguring this anyway for my new steps, so that's not a problem. I'm going to probably convert these into LEDs. These are fiber optic. I'm going to use these to pull cables through to that crappy thing over there. Yeah, that was a pain in the ass. So I got to put a piece of coping up top, get a couple pieces of galvanized, like 16 gauge or so, or a piece, put that in there, put the coping in, probably weld it in on the backside just to keep it a little stiff. Then backfill, put a box in the concrete to deal with the new valves. I don't think I have 2 valves over there, but I'll see what that is. All right, that's it for this weekend. I'm gonna clean up and get this ready. So, update on the pool. I got in some 16 gauge metallized sheeting and closed up the old staircase. I have a cross support welded and a center seam support welded up to help it. Then a couple supports at the top. It's just welded to the angles on the existing setup. And now I gotta figure out which one of these, I think it's that one, is feeding my my water line in, so I can tap off that for all the new stuff going in. This wasn't too bad. Took all morning, but not that bad to slip that in. Got a little bow in there. It's gonna pop out. Hopefully more soil goes in. But yeah, I gotta fill in the deep end a little bit too. That's my plan going forward. So my pool stairs are here in all these boxes. It's 14 boxes. They're about 30 to 50 pounds a piece. A lot of walking. They look really good. This is how they're gonna piece together. And I'll get this all unboxed and start assembling it. So I finally got everything unboxed. Out of all of this, here's all the pieces laid out. I have one piece of all of this that's slightly damaged. I can bend that back over, which is super nice. These guys did an incredible job packaging this stuff. I'm gonna start putting this thing together, piecing it together, and I'll give you some pictures as I go. So the way I designed this thing was every one of these slips together with a piece of this. So it's kind of built like a big Lego set. It should hold itself and center itself fairly good. But that's just a taste of it. So it all slips together pretty well. I gotta put the cross braces in and the top on that. That's the deck. It's one side of the stairs. The other side of the stairs. See how it's built. I gotta mark out where I want to put my tack welds. This would be the top stair. I need to mark out where I want to put my tacks and slip it apart, grind off the galvanizing, and slip it back together and tack it up. But yeah, it's going pretty well. Alright, so I just ran out of wire, flux core wire, so I'm have to go back to the store. But I got this staircase in minus the top plate. I gotta cope my angle different too. I didn't realize my angle was wrong, or my radius was wrong. That's the top step built. That's built. This top plate has to be off to get the plumbing in. I have this stair. This is the stair for that side. This is mostly done. I'm getting better as I go, obviously, with this, like figuring out how to assemble this correctly. I started with the tread, put everything on the tread, tacked it all in, put the bottom riser on, and I haven't even tacked this stuff together yet. I'm just kind of working off the face, and it's working pretty good. Got a little bow there I got to deal with. It's sheet metal. It moves around as you heat it up, so you got to chase it as you go. I got to chase the very bottom step there. I chase the face of that to straighten it. I got to chase the bottom side before I put it on. But it's not bad. It's going pretty well. All the slots are working perfectly. They're lining up beautifully. And yeah, that's it. So a lot's happened since my last video. All that's pieced together. It's kind of in place. I had to cut a 1/2 inch out of the center, which I got to address. All that piping's glued. All that piping's glued. All that piping on the staircase, so there's glued. This one's half glued. This is the one that penetrates through the wall. And my biggest conundrum was this. It's about an 8-inch thick slab of concrete around the outside of the pool on this side. So I had to chip that out. I have those cleaned out over there. But then I thought one of these pipes were the feed. It turns out none of them were. The feed's actually down there, which was underneath about 8 inches of concrete. So that sucked ass. But I have that opened up. I just got to let all this dry out. I have a nice working slab now to work off of. But let the water drain, because I got a lot of water everywhere from cleaning this stuff up. And then I can piece the piping together to tie in all of my staircase components to my pool, and then slip all this stuff back together, cut and put the face on, and get ready to fill this with sand. All right, that's it for this update. So I'm out of pipe, and I had to stop a little earlier than I wanted to, but I teed off, or I tied in to the pipe coming from my pump. Comes up, comes over, does this. These are the 3 valves that are going to control the features and the steps. I really had no better option, but this is the concrete I'd opened, so I'm going to put the valves here in a box that the lid comes off of. And then I got those 2 going down. They're glued in there, the other one's glued in up there. I got one more line to glue in for that, and then I need some more pipe for that. And I have the electric for the light on the front of the stair structure. That's just going to come into this box too. I'm going to run just a couple feeder wires in case I ever switch these valves over to something pneumatic or electro-pneumatic or whatever, or electronic, I should say. And yeah, that's where we got to today. Hard day's work. All right, so poured a bunch of concrete in with a little bit of plasticizer. It's my little mixer, just to parch back up the spots that I had to break through there. And then everywhere I got a lot of angle or bends with my pipe, I'm using the concrete to encase it to prevent banging and just help a little bit. So ever this is the big intersection, everything kind of comes up and moves out. So there's a bunch of 90 degrees, long sweep 90s or whatever, but there's a lot of fittings there. I pressure tested everything before, but now I just want to encase it all in concrete. It's a 5,000 mix. It's pretty chunky the way it is. I kept the water really light, and I had a plasticizer just to really boost up the strength of it as best I could. And yeah, I got to fill the rest of this thing with sand. It's a little bit more welding to do, but we're almost done. I got about 1.5 yards of sand left. I might need to get 2 more yards. I'll figure that out though as I go. But that's where I'm at today. So quick update. I got the light on, the big 10-incher. Sits on the deck there. And I didn't put it in a can or a wet niche because I can explain it for a minute, but what I did was behind this epoxy there is stainless steel threaded nutserts that I threaded in here. I'm using the epoxy to seal them instead of using the wet niche style. And the reason I did that is because I know this thing was designed to go in a wet niche, but it's a 54 watt LED versus a 500 watt halogen, 110 volt 500 watt halogen light bulb that was part of the wet niche thing. And that's why it was wet, and a niche was to keep that cool. This I can get plenty of cooling because it's not sealed between it, so it's going to get plenty of cooling itself. And I'm just going to seal everything up that's penetrated through with the epoxy putty, the plumber's epoxy putty. It's pretty hard right now. That's for that. I got to get a button head screw for that. But I got that pulled. It's pulled through here. I gotta go back to that box right there. That was the original light show box for the old fiber optic system, but it has a 110 volt in it. I can put the transformer in it. It's covered. It's going to work out for the LED stuff we're doing. I got this right here. I'm going to snake through and push it back through there. I'm going to put this here because I'm going to have we'll run a couple leads in there. I don't have electronic valves, but if I ever want electronic valves, I could run a couple extra lines this way, and I still have 110 volt there to feed off of. So I'm just filling up with sand. Got about another 1.5 yards out there, and I got to flow this in with some water to get underneath all this stuff better. And I'm pretty full. I just wanted to show that before I covered up everything. But yeah, we're pretty full. We're almost done. Pretty excited about this. So just finish up the electrical setup. This pipe here is the electric running from the big lamp over there. I put 3 extra wires in this box, which if I go down tight, I don't know if you can see that. I have a bunch of hot snot on the end. I put a cap on a bunch of hot snot because theoretically this whole pipe could be a wet niche, or it could be wet because there's nothing preventing the water from coming in. I also put in the LED replacement on this one. I need to get the one for the other side. So that box down there. Here is the command station. It was the old setup for the fiber optics. Let me get zoomed in here. The fan at the bottom is 120 volt, so I didn't have to keep the DC transformer in there with it. So I just kept it in there and wired it back in. These wires down here are the extras that are going to the valve box. This is a 12 volt AC. I just hot snotted everything in real tight and nice. It's a 12 volt AC adapter for the 2 smaller LED lights that retrofit into the existing fiber optic setup. And this is the big control boy for the big light. And using a bunch of German style Wagyu fittings for everything. I connected to the original switches, and I'll turn that one on. And that's this light. I gotta figure out how to cycle through that. Oh, it's cycling now, so it cycles. I just gotta keep turning it on and off to get what you want. And the other one is for the control box. Obviously I can control things. I can control from my phone and stuff, but it turns the big light on as well, turns the fan on. We get this bottled up, and it's gonna look pretty good. Pretty much finished up now. We got the wall fully secured. Look back, we got it all screwed in. Filling up this, I'm digging back there to dump all my crap back there and leave the pipes with cleaner dirt around them. And yeah, just filling in the best I can with a little bit extra sand. And you can see that's pretty filled for the most part. This is all welded up. I gotta spray the cold galvanizing on this. Yeah, it's thankfully almost done. Final look at this before I put the concrete back in. The box I had to bring up a touch, but I got it to grade best I could. This was bowing out a little bit, so I'd take a little dirt. When I compacted it, it bowed it out a bit, so I took a little dirt out, smacked it back in a bit. It's slightly bowed, but I think once the concrete's there, you're not going to recognize it. I put concrete and encased all the top pipe joints, all the corners in concrete before I did this. I forgot to take a video as I did that before I backfilled. Then I had that pile of rubble and junk, So I just dug out back here, put this dirt here, threw all that crap back there, and washed it in to try to compact it the best I could, just to get rid of it all. And maybe in 1,000 years or so, if someone's ever digging here, if this isn't underwater, they're gonna find a real confusing thing there when there's a bunch of concrete rubble in the middle of nowhere. I gotta finish up taping. I got my foam, my wall foam, to do all the wall foam stuff, which is good. That comes after I tape. I got the vermiculite so I could fix those little holes. I gotta clean out the bottom drain, clean out the bottom because I just keep getting wash in, especially with the rain that's been coming. And yeah, it's kind of my plan this weekend, is to pour my concrete and get taping. And maybe if I get all the taping done, retape everything, I can get the wall foam up, but that's probably ambitious. Alright, so went and got 32 bags of concrete from Home Depot. The guy had a problem putting 32 bags of concrete on a pallet for me. Real assholes. But got 32 bags, used 28 of them. About 4 inches thick the whole way. Chopped out from my valve box. Just cleaned up best I could. And yeah, we got expansion joint on both sides. I used expansion joint in the back just to get a back line to get that curve going that this has. Broom finish, I'm probably gonna knock that off with the stone like next year or so, but I don't like the surface tension that's developed when concrete's curing if I left the surface smoother. So rough surface is good for curing, to not get those micro cracks, all those little spider cracks you see and everything. So that was the intent of the broom finish. Shot the edges. Yeah, not bad. It worked pretty well today. It's all day, worked pretty well. So I finished welding up all the seams on that. It's fully taped up over there. The whole low end's fully taped up. Re-going over the tape. My side's taped up too. And I cleaned the floor as best I could, just to wash everything down. I still gotta let that drain and then deal with all the refuse down there. But next would be to correct all the vermiculite issues, which that is tomorrow. So I cleaned out the bottom over there, retaped the rest of the walls. I started doing some vermiculite patchwork over there. And the low end, start getting the hang of it on this side. I gotta add a little bit of goo to this as it dries to clean that up. It's pretty level, but it's getting a little scaly, so I'll clean that up. I need more cement in the mix. Look over here, I think I've started doing pretty good. Started laying out pretty well. I got the consistency down with the mixer. It's a bit harder stuff up on the wall. I'm just cleaning up all these little holes, all those little seams. There's gonna be a patch around the bottom over there. And then I gotta redefine the ledge and just clean this up a little bit with more vermiculite and cement. And yeah, it's a little late, but I did the vermiculite concrete at the bottom of the deep end as well, all on the walls. Just cleaned it up a little bit. And I got all the foam on the stairs. Next weekend, hopefully, the pool company's coming to put the new liner in. And I'm pretty much wrapped up here. I gotta pull the light off for them. And I'm gonna get a new non-sacrificial bezel for it. That's probably the last thing I gotta do, is make that work. And yeah, that's it. This was easy to do. Alright, this is probably my final little video blog post before the guys come, supposedly tomorrow or Tuesday, that's Sunday today, to put the new liner in. I put the foam on the rest of the walls, and I'm kind of just ready for those guys to come and I guess sweep out the pool because the tree's been pissing on it. and put the liner in. It's about a month later than I thought, or they said it was going to be. And I guess this was super simple. It was really easy to put this in. On this part, when I did that, I used the Gladden blue spray adhesive stuff. The rest of it, I used the 3M stuff, and that stuff was so much better. It spread better. You didn't have to shake the can. It was just really nice stuff. I would suggest using that versus the I think it's called 78. It's the one for polystyrene, whatever the hell this stuff is, polypropylene, whichever plastic makes this foam. It's clear, it sprays nicer, it covers more. I got more coverage out of a can. I did this in like 4 cans, maybe 5 cans. That took 6 cans itself. It's really stuck on there. I'm just going through and where it's popping up, I'm just smoothing it back down and getting the final adherence of the glue. But yeah, I think we're ready. You can see my light setup. I have a plug in there, like a waterproof plug to plug the big light back in. The ring's decorative. I got the seals for that guy. And yeah, hopefully the next update is this pool full of water. Alright. So it's the next day. I still don't have a liner. They came, they brought, there was one liner called Bay Azul, which is the one we ordered. And there's another one called Azul Bay. Terrible naming structure, which is the one we didn't want. Which is the one they ended up bringing, even though we clearly put Bay Azul. So they left. They're getting a new liner, apparently. There's shit everywhere. I'm cleaning this up, putting it in a pile. And yeah, shocking. But I'll hopefully have an update when I'm actually done with this. So, they actually came back. When they said they would. They said they were getting the liner Wednesday. They did. It's Wednesday. And we're currently filling. I am very happy with this right now. It looks really good. Let me try to walk up the bank without slipping. The vac system. So they told me to let it fill and give them a call when I'm at the bottom step, which I have 2 hoses running now to fill it up to do it. But yeah, that looks really good. I'm very happy with this right now. It's nice to come home from work and see this done like this. They got the rods in. You can feel them a little bit. But yeah, awesome. So one final update will happen when it's filled. But yeah, that's it for now. So it's done, finally. Of course, right at the end, I cracked the valve, or the union to my valve here, or my returns. And I had to redo all these, so I put them all on unions. I didn't love the idea of using the gate valves, but that's what they had that was small enough, because they were all threaded at the pool store. I had to get that done immediately. So of course that was just the last little bit, but they came back, they put the liner in. It's not the best work I've ever seen, but it's in, it's there. I wish they swept a little better the second time, because the first time it looked spotless. Second time when I was in the deep end filming, I could feel some shit under my feet. There's a couple spots along I could feel some stuff underneath the liner. So they didn't sweep as good. That corner, they didn't put any of the little tag guys in. I got to grab them and do that, because the other corner has it. They didn't cut in my top 2 jets. They just forgot those 2. They didn't put the
rebar, the fiberglass rebar along the top step, which I felt like they should have, but they didn't. I might do something with Velcro there just to make that a little tighter. I got the 2 bottom jets cooking right now, and my regular 2 jets and my heater jet. I'm gonna pop off some and show you guys the water features. Don't love this, but you got pissed with the cock you got sometimes. So I'm gonna turn on the main bubbler. High as you can make it. Pretty cool. Pop on the other bubblers. And yeah, it's kind of rocking and rolling. I'm very happy how it turned out. Of course, they didn't put my light in either. I had to put my light in because he was trying to use the wrong screw. But that's fine. Lights work. It's not dark out yet, but lights on. My side guys work. I don't know if you can see the little guy yet. Oh, I made it turn them on. Yep, side lights work. All looks good.